In Sudan, the ongoing closure of highway connecting the country to Egypt by the Sudanese resistance committees of the north has entered its ninth day. Sudanese protesters in the northern state have erected several barricades along the road connecting the two countries. The protesters have disrupted the movement of Egyptian-owned vehicles returning to Egypt with Sudanese livestock or goods. Joining me on the news to discuss the reason the protest as well as its impact on the economy of the two countries is Sudanese political analyst in Oslo, Norway, Dr. Majduline El Tahir. Thank you very much for joining us on MC Continental Prime. Now, the protesters say they won't open the connecting road until their demands are met first. Are these demands genuine, and do you think the Sudanese government is ready to yield to their demands?
Good evening to you. Yes, their demands are genuine, and the government has yielded to one of their demands of this particular group. But the government, as you I have mentioned in this program before, the government is in a very difficult situation because the majority of the Sudanese population rejected the coup d'etat, and it has been 100 days, a couple of days ago, since the coup d'etat, and it still is rejected. Now, going back to the main subject here, which is the blockade in the northern part of the country, the legitimate demands and the genuine demands of the people is that, first of all, it was triggered by a huge rise in electricity prices, which affects their production, agricultural production, the irrigation pumps, which are run by electricity. So making an already very vulnerable community of small farmers even more vulnerable. So that was what triggered the blockade in the beginning. They also, as the process and the blockade became more organized, became more and more organized, they came with more and more demands. For example, they demand maintenance to the road. The road is in a very bad state and has not been maintained in years. Again, something that affects them very much, going to like really, really distant hospitals and distant schools, etc. They also demand reduced road taxes and reduced tolls. Most importantly, they demand their share, the northern province share in the goods that are smuggled out of their country, which they believe the import-export relationship and trade between the Sudan and Egypt is nothing more than smuggling. It's not based on anything closely related to legal dealings and serious dealings, and hence they protest because of that.
Okay, I was going to ask, do you think that they are strengthened in their protest and their demands because of the ability to get the government to make a U-turn in the earlier protest over electricity?
It has been very effective. I mean, the protests are all over the country, but the one in the blockade in the North Sudan, we could see that it's very, very effective, and immediately, with an immediate effect, the government cancelled the rise in electricity prices. But that's from the government's point of view. But for us, for the people, and for people like myself, pro-democracy campaigners and activists and fighters and so on, it has been a learning experience, and very quickly it is spreading in different parts of the country, whereby, like I said, import-export relations of Sudan with its neighboring countries is more of a smuggling business rather than serious trade. And it's becoming a very interesting fight for fair trade.
Okay. You're talking about fair trade. What about the citizens? How is it affecting rather their livelihood? This blockade of goods coming in or going out?
Well, I tell you an example in terms of the prices of meat. The Sudanese meat has been the Sudanese cattle have been shipped in huge numbers annually and outside the country to be exported to Egypt and as raw material, and from there further into the European market and into the other Middle Eastern market with the tag made in Egypt. What happened is that the price of meat has dropped dramatically all over Sudan, not just in the northern parts of the country. In the whole country, the price of meat has dropped. The price of agricultural goods, well, Sudanese agricultural products are very good in terms of being organic and etc. And again, the national production was exported, and it was very difficult to. And the irony is that Sudanese agricultural products are exported, like I said, in order to be repackaged and sold further to European markets and etc. Whereas Egyptian agricultural products are brought into the country. So if you go to the markets in Khartoum to buy tomato, it is Egyptian tomatoes actually, because Sudanese tomatoes are exported. Like I said, hence Sudanese agricultural products are known for having high quality and for having like rare products like gum arabic, for example. This is Sudan is the producer of about 90% of global market. Very few of it is transported directly from Sudan to European markets. Most
All right.
is.
Let's see if we can cover other areas. This protest has entered the ninth day. Do you fear that it might escalate and pose a threat to national security?
When it comes to Egypt, I believe the Egyptian economy is very big. It will hurt the Egyptian economy, but I do not sit with figures and statistics, but I don't think that it will impact the Egyptian market dramatically to the point that it will perhaps cause a serious national security. Yes, it will, and it is affecting Egypt. It's affecting Egypt very much, but so far not as much. What it is affecting is it's affecting the Sudanese national security because the military juntas might very well revert to using extreme violence and brutality in order to disperse the blockade. Mainly because these companies, which I'm talking about, that smuggle the goods out of the country, belong to these generals in name. These are their personal companies.
I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Majduline El Tahir. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you.